Chapter 7. Learning to Adapt. The first time Ichigo tried to throw a punch in Orihime's body, he nearly fell flat on his face. "Ooh," he grunted, stumbling backward and clutching his wrist. "What the hell is wrong with your arms? They're like noodles." Orihime stood a few feet away, watching his clumsy attempt at a sparring session with barely concealed amusement. Her arms were crossed, well, his arms now, and she was leaning against a tree, grinning like she'd just watched the funniest comedy of the year. "There are not noodles, Ichigo," she said, her voice deep and teasing, thanks to her new vocal cord. "It's called precision and grace. You should try it sometime." Ichigo shot her a glare, brushing his long orange hair out of his face. "Precision and grace don't mean anything if you don't have the power to back it up. I might as well be slapping people with spaghetti." Orihime laughed, the sound deeper than her usual giggle, but just as warm. "You're like a baby deer learning to walk," she teased. Ichigo groaned, flexing his fingers and rolling his shoulders. "This baby deer could still kick your ass if you weren't in my body. I'd like to see you try." Orihime shot back, flexing his bicep in response. The muscle bulged impressively, and she looked at it with awe. "Wow. This just gets cooler every time I look at it." "Stop admiring my muscles and focus," Ichigo grumbled, trying to throw another punch. This time, he managed to keep his balance, but the punch itself felt weak, like his arm didn't have the weight or force he was used to. Orihime clapped slowly, smirking. "That was better. Only about 70% embarrassing this time." Ichigo groaned again, dragging a hand down his face. "Why did I agree to this? Because you wanted to stop tripping over your own feet?" Orihime reminded him innocently. "Right? Stupid idea," Ichigo muttered. The truth was, Ichigo was struggling. A lot. Orihime's body was agile, flexible and light, but it was too light. Every movement felt exaggerated, like he was overcorrecting constantly. His punches lacked the weight he was used to, and don't even get him started on the balance issues. During one of their training sessions, he attempted a basic kick, only for his leg to swing too far and send him tumbling to the ground. "Damn it," he snapped, sitting up and brushing dirt off his knees. Orihime crouched beside him, her oversized shirt slipping off one shoulder. "Maybe you should try smaller movements," she suggested, using her new muscular hand to brush his long hair out of his face. "You're trying to fight like you, but you're not you right now." Ichigo sighed, his shoulders slumping. "Yeah, no kidding. This body's so sensitive. I can feel everything. The sun on my skin, the wind in my hair. It's like my nerves are on overdrive." He paused, frowning. "And don't even get me started on the stupid hair. How do you deal with this? It's always in my face." Orihime blinked, then reached up and tied his hair back into a loose ponytail with a piece of vine. "There. Better?" Ichigo touched the ponytail awkwardly. "I guess. Thanks." Orihime beamed at him, and he looked away quickly, his cheeks turning pink. While Ichigo was busy learning how to fight with spaghetti arms, Orihime was struggling with an entirely different problem: her newfound strength. She'd been gathering firewood that morning when she accidentally snapped an entire tree branch in half with one hand. "Oh no," she muttered, staring at the broken branch. Later, while rearranging rocks around their campfire, she picked up a particularly large stone and accidentally crushed it in her grip. "Ooh." Ichigo noticed her struggles almost immediately. "You're too strong for your own good," he teased, watching as she tried to stack a pile of firewood without breaking it. "I can't help it." Orihime protested, holding up her hands like they were weapons of mass destruction. Your body is so strong. It's like, I don't know my own limits anymore. Ichigo smirked, crossing his arms. Welcome to my world. Orihime flexed her bicep, again, grinning. I feel like I could bench press an elephant. Please don't try, Ichigo said flatly. I'd rather not explain that to anyone if we ever make it back. Orihime pouted. You're no fun. Their training sessions quickly devolved into a mix of awkwardness and comedy. Orihime was determined to teach Ichigo how to use her body's flexibility and balance. But it was an uphill battle. Try this, she said, demonstrating a high kick with surprising ease. Ichigo attempted to copy her, only for his leg to swing too far again. He stumbled, flailed, and fell backward into a pile of leaves. Orihime burst out laughing, clutching her stomach. You're hopeless. Ichigo glared at her from the ground, his face red. I don't know how you're not falling over all the time. Your body defies physics. Meanwhile, Ichigo was trying to teach Orihime how to channel brute force, instead of accidentally destroying everything she touched. He set up a makeshift training dummy, using a log and some vines, showing her how to aim her punches. Okay, now hit it, but not too hard, he instructed. Orihime nodded, winding up for a punch. She threw her fist forward, and the dummy exploded into splinters. Ichigo stared at the remains of the log, his mouth hanging open. Too hard. That was too hard. Oops, Orihime said sheepishly, rubbing the back of her neck. Despite the humor and bickering, there were moments of surprising tension between them. During one sparring session, Ichigo lost his balance again and instinctively grabbed Orihime's waist to steady himself. Both of them froze. Orihime blinked, looking down at his hands on her waist. Ichigo's face turned bright red, and he quickly let go, stumbling backward. Sorry, he stammered, avoiding her gaze. It's okay, Orihime said softly, though her cheeks were pink too. They didn't talk about it, but the moment lingered in the air between them. Later that evening, as they sat by the fire, Orihime found herself glancing at Ichigo out of the corner of her eye. She had to admit, his body was, well, attractive. Strong, lean, and undeniably handsome. It was weird to think about, considering she was the one currently inside it. Meanwhile, Ichigo was having similar thoughts. He'd spent so much time being annoyed by the changes to Orihime's body that he hadn't stopped to appreciate, well, her. Even in this strange situation, there was something graceful and beautiful about her form. Of course, neither of them was willing to admit any of this out loud. Are you checking me out? Orihime teased suddenly, breaking the silence. That's technically your body, you know. Ichigo nearly choked on his soup. I not? Don't flatter yourself. Orihime laughed, her deep voice echoing through the clearing. Relax, Ichigo. I was just kidding. Ichigo grumbled something under his breath, refusing to make eye contact. By the end of the week, they were starting to find a rhythm. Ichigo's punches were still a little wobbly, and Orihime still accidentally broke things, but they were improving. Slowly but surely, they were learning to adapt, not just to their new bodies, but to each other. As they sat by the fire that night, watching the alien sky pulse with its strange colors, they felt a strange sense of calm. Do you think we'll ever go back to normal? Orihime asked quietly. Ichigo stared into the flames, his expression thoughtful. I don't know. But whatever happens, we'll figure it out, Together? Orihime smiled, her eyes soft. Yeah, together. For the first time in weeks, the future didn't feel quite so uncertain.